touch the skies. Cheltenham town and Forest Green, Gloucester City stands so keen. Talk of the county, loud and clear.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Talk of the County Podcast. I'm your host Daniel Hopkins and sponsored by Traffic Safety Management, local depot in Gloucester, but support projects around the UK. TSM keeps the roads moving safely day and night, offering local operatives a great career prospect in a socially driven company and generally looks after the people and the communities they serve. To find out more, visit www.tsmltd.co.uk. Good morning, gentlemen. We got the full panel, and I'd say the full panel because it would be the last one until the playoffs for Sean. But good morning, Sean Baker.
Hello, mate. You okay?
We've got Dave Jones / Angel, who's not very happy either. Him and Sean are crying in their coffee this morning. Good morning, Dave.
Morning.
And we got Chris Howes, who's the only one with a great big Cheshire cat grin on his face. Good morning, Chris.
What a week.
And you've got to wait till last to talk about it, mate. We will crack on with it, and we will start with Gloucester City. Dave, just short of 300 City fans made the trip down to Yate yesterday.
Yeah, we sold all 300, but they announced 296,
298 or something like that. Yeah,
presumably a couple got waylaid and didn't make it. But
full of expectation. Before we talk about the game, let's talk about Farnham's result in the week. Gloucester City have been looking closely at Farnham because obviously it's out of your hand. It was out of your hands definitely, and now, but it was out of your hands to who was going to finish second, and they get a 97th minute equaliser in the week, which you would have taken anyway, Dave, wouldn't you?
would have at the start, but it's a bit disappointing. Eyes trained on Twitter feeds, and you just knew it was going to come, and they got a penalty in the 97th minute. By all accounts, it was a handball on the line to stop a certain goal. Red cards. Doesn't sound like we can have any complaints about the penalty given. Yeah, point. And yesterday's events. Yeah, it was always out of our hands, and we had to sort of keep winning, which we haven't done. So yeah, people end up where they deserve to be, don't they? And Farnham, I think, will deserve to be second.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about yesterday's events. And before the game, one thing that stood out for me was Joe Hank started on the bench.
Yeah. The age-old daft thing, just rotating, keeping everybody fresh. He was fit, I think. Spoke to him on Tuesday night. We had a meeting about planning for the semi-final, and he was there. They were training. I had a good chat, and he no longer looked like he'd just come out of the ring with Moses Atuma, so he wasn't picked, but he came on. All a question of keeping everybody fresh now, I think, and having as many people available for the playoffs as possible.
Yeah, it's we'll get on to potentially going forward in a minute, but it is a potentially that you've got a decent sized squad, and you talk about players getting games and all that. Where Daft's spoken about a lot lately, hasn't he? About players coming back now when he's got options. And is it wise to? Is it good management now to be giving players who you might need in the playoffs game time?
I think so. Combination of game time and rest, just balancing that. We'll go on to yesterday's game, but having lost yesterday, I think realistically, it could actually be all over for the chances, even the outside chance of second by Monday. If Farnham win on Monday, then third it is. We can't go up or down. So I think some previously untried players could well get some game time against Walton and Hersham because they've won the league. Pretty much looks like they're on the beach. They've lost the last. Well, they win yesterday, but they've certainly wobbled since their league champions were confirmed, and I can't see it. I think it could have the air of a pre-season friendly about it on Saturday, because I think they'll be they've celebrated winning the league and it's all over for them, and really it's a bit of a dead rubber for us. I think it will be by then. So, but you never know, do you? You never know.
Yeah.
If
But
Farnham weren't playing Tiverton last game, I'd be really praying that they drop. They lose on Monday to Taunton, because then it would be a straight shootout. Best, who gets the best result. But I just
yes, it's
can't
not
see
even
him
around the
can't
corner,
see
is
him
it?
not beating Tiverton. So I think even if we beat Walton Hersham, third is ours.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll talk about the game and then we'll just jump into a little bit of that towards the end. It, it, this onto the game. Obviously, if anybody didn't know, it was Yate 10-2, Gloucester City won yesterday. But Gloucester had a really good start, Dave. After 7 minutes, a lovely finish, great start, great goal from James Waite in his first for the club.
Yeah, it's good. We started really brightly, passing the ball about on a quite not a bad. It didn't look a bad service. Sometimes you can think it looks all right, and then the players will say otherwise. But it looked okay, and good strike, nice little move, good strike from James Waite from about 18 yards and put it in the top corner. It was a good start, and things will bode well at that point, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, just before the goal, Ellis Watts obviously went down injured, but as the goal went in, he was replaced. Is there any news on whether it's going to be a long term
Haven't
or?
heard, but he looked in some trouble. He went down after a hefty challenge and was hobbling and tried to run it off, but 2 minutes later he just dropped to the turf again, and we brought him off. So it doesn't look good, really, does it? Obviously he won't be involved, I would say, next Saturday. So he's got 10 days. So if it's nothing too serious, he's got a chance. But I've got no idea at the moment. I've not spoken to Daff, so I don't know if that's him done for the season. It'd be a shame if it is. We'll miss him.
Yeah. City could have doubled their lead. Kane Simpson had a really good chance, didn't he? Gets above the keeper, but just heads over.
Yeah.
Was it a case? Obviously we'll get on to Daft's thoughts. But Daft said, you had a few chances. Was it a case of?
Yeah, we did in the first half. We had like 2 or 3 good chances, but just one went in. But the others, just like keeper either made a save or just went wrong side of the post. And we could have on a different day gone in at half time, sort of 2 or 3-0 up, and that would have made a very, very different result. But obviously they got their goal. But it just wasn't our day. Didn't the age-old thing in it? We probably had 3/4 to 4/5 of the team just didn't have a good day, with 5s and 6s rather than 7s and 8s. And when that happens all on the same day, you're gonna struggle against a team like Yate, who are on good form and they had everything to play for. A win was almost guaranteed them safety, so they were well up for it. And Darren Mullins has got a good little side down there. They play some good football, and they deserved their win yesterday.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because you hear a lot of managers say, especially with I'm not saying this is Gloucester, but especially with clubs who are the small fish in the big pond, if you like, when they always say for us to win, you need 7 or 8 players to be 7 or 8 on the day. And is that what you're kind of saying? Is it maybe there's too many Gloucester players who were not quite on it, Dave?
Exactly that. We just had too many players. I can only think of a couple of players who I'd say had a decent game. Kane Simpson was very quiet, didn't really win many of his aerial duels, and we just didn't play well on the day. They were absolutely bang up for it. They played well, and the better team on the day won.
Yeah. Well, they equalised on the 35th minute. Former Cheltenham loanee Marlon Jackson levelled for Yate.
Yeah, he's ageless, isn't he, old Marlon? I mean, he's been with us before as well for a period of time, and he's like, I believe 38 now, and he was running around like a spring chicken. He's putting loads of effort in. He looked really decent. He looked a threat all day.
What was the goal like, Dave?
Honestly can't remember. We were behind. A bit of a weird setup there, because it is very much a small fish, and big, slightly bigger, too big pond. I think, well, not too big, but big pond. The ground is sort of, we just had like a bit of a field behind one goal, flat standing grass. We arrived and we were quite amazed at the effort that they'd gone to cater for the away fans. There was a like a burger van, and there was a bar trailer, and there was a noodle bar, and there was a hot dog pancake waffle place, and we were like, bloody hell, they've really pulled all the stops out. But then when we spoke to them, we found out that they've got Man United legends today. So all those people were there for courtesy of them, and we just were lucky enough to be there the day before. So yeah, no, I mean, it's not the best. It's not the best view though when you stood flat grass, 300 people, probably six, 7 deep. I managed to get there early enough to bury my way into the front, so I had a reasonable view. But when you're looking the full length of the pitch, I couldn't really see a lot what was going on at the other end.
Yeah, I did. There was one comment on X, Dave, and it was about I don't know whether it was a Yates fan or what fan it was. And he said, "Why are Gloucester City fans all dressed as stewards?" And I know you said before the game that you had to be stewards, and I was going to reply and said it reminds me of when Hartlepool went away on the last game of the season once, and they all went as Smurfs.
Yeah, right.
And I was going to say that you all
They've done
went
lots.
as
They did penguins, didn't they? 400 penguins on the tube in London.
That's it.
That was the idea. Not every. I mean, we had a couple. We had a Super Mario and a couple of Pokemons and stuff. But yeah, a good number were in stewards' vests. I sold some on the. Some people brought just made their own outfits. Stupidly shelled out my own money to buy a load of vests. And Adam Whitmore of the T End Original Sports Club, he painstakingly stenciled GCAFC steward on the back of all of them, and he sold a load on their coach, and I sold some on our coach, and there was still a load left. So I went to take him into the ground, and I was one of the first up to the turnstile, wearing a steward's jacket, carrying a big bag of steward jackets. And he said, "Oh, can I need to check your bag?" And I said, "Oh, it's just steward's jackets. We're all wearing them." And he's like, "No, you won't be allowed in wearing steward's jackets. We've got a job to do." And I was like, "Oh, for God's sake, this is going to put a severe dampener on the idea." But he said, "I'll have to ask the chairman." And the chairman came out, and what a top bloke. He just said, "Oh, yeah, don't worry." A bit of a giggle. "Yeah, it's absolutely fine." So he let us in. So yeah, there was probably 100 people all stewarded up. But it was just, it was a bit of an anticlimax by the end, obviously.
Was they more concerned, Dave? Was it because if the fans were blending in with actual stewards?
Yeah. Which is obviously a fair point, but on the grounds it was totally segregated. It was only City fans in there. Although one of them was I think he had too many. Hey, you guys had too many shandies as always, and he was making their stewards work for their money. But
there's always one, isn't there?
Indeed.
And I think the reason that there's not much coverage on the first goals, because obviously when we talk about it shortly, it was because of the winning goal. But on the 45th minute, stroke of half-time, City were unfortunate to not to go in 2-1 because O'Regan rattled the bar.
He did, yeah. It was one really met it well, and it really should have been a goal, but hit the underside of the bar, and didn't go in. Unfortunately, that would have changed the game, I think.
Yeah, so they always say that we've spoken about over the last few weeks with Forest Green, haven't we, about them getting the odd goal just before half time, and it does change the game, doesn't it?
Very
Changes that team
talk. It changes the team talk, but yeah, it wasn't to be. We went in at 1-1.
What was your so at half time? What was your overall thoughts, Dave, in terms of the Gloucester's first half performance?
We didn't play brilliantly. I was just hoping they'd go in the changing rooms and Daff would get into them, and we'd come out and look better. But that wasn't the case. And to be honest, we looked pretty poor in the second half. We didn't really create a great deal, and they looked, quite simply, the better side.
Yeah. Like I said, when I looked at that, when I looked and seen that you was 1-0 up, and then 1-1. I was checking on the farm and the result as well, and I was thinking, that tough game against Berkhamsted, and it was 0-0 as well. But we go into the second half. Second half was a quiet second half, but a foul on Jamal Mohammed. Did you think City should have had a penalty?
50, you see him given, you see him not given. One of those you shout for if it's for you, but if you think it's not, if it's against you, and the ref didn't give it, so it's not a penalty, is it?
No. I've seen a couple of Gloucester City fans online who said it was a cert penalty, but sometimes fans will say that when it's not.
Yeah. Obviously, in the second half, they're shooting away from us. We had them shooting towards us first half, so it's right at the other end, which didn't give us the best view of anything City were doing in the second half, but gave us a great view of their winning goal.
Yeah, is that like obviously, for anybody who doesn't know, at Southern League level and sometimes in the National League, North and South level, sometimes they still swap ends.
Yeah, I always do when I get the opportunity to. I always stand behind the goal we're shooting at when I can.
They stopped doing that at National League North level. Now, was it more segregated? Because there's a lot of decent stadiums in the National League.
When we were last there a couple of seasons ago, it depended where you went, really. If you went to like clubs who are sort of that level or have come up from the level below, you could usually just wander around and it wasn't segregated. But when you get to the likes of Chester and Halifax and these ex-league clubs, you tend to be sort of penned into a corner and segregated.
Kidderminster and places like that. I know what you mean. It's like clubs are pretty much like Marine and clubs like that, where you'd probably still get the chance to walk around and
exactly
the other side. So that must be annoying for you, Dave. Like, it's great that you've taken 300 down there, but the annoying thing is they've stuck you at one end and you've got to stay there.
Yeah, but we always knew that was a situation. Their chairman, when I was chatting to him, said that they really wish they didn't have to do it. It was all after that drama they had when they played Weymouth at home, when the game was interrupted for quite a long period of time with trouble. But under police advice, they had to segregate the rest of their games. It wasn't their decision. I think they'd have probably rathered everybody just having free reign, and I don't envisage there'd have been any problems if that had been the case. But the way it was, so you just go along with it, don't you?
Yeah. And then there was 4 minutes added on. As I said, it was quite a quiet second half in terms of action, but 4 minutes added on. And like you said, it was down towards the end you was, and in the words of Chris and Sean, a right thunder basket.
He struck it well. He had so much space though. They attacked down their left wing, and the ball was just shifted across to the middle, and it was reminiscent of that goal. Although a bit further out of the England goal against, was it Holland, I think, where the ball was played across and then Sheringham laid it across to Shearer. It's just like the ball was played across and then across, and when it got to the last man, it was like the overlap in rugby union when the ball came out to him and he was just, there was nobody marking him, and he just struck it really well right into the top corner. And
I've seen the goal.
Yeah, tipped over.
Not much on the first goal at all, but they was tweeting the second goal. And it to be fair, it's a cracking strike.
Yeah, he struck it really, really well. Yeah, Jared was no stopping that. But yeah, it's when we were pushing forward, trying to get the winner, and we just overloaded. Yeah, they just outnumbered us, and he tucked it away. Wow.
Yeah. So after the performance at Dorchester last week, obviously, we know on the bank holiday you had a disappointing 2-0 defeat at home to Taunton, and City backed it up with a 5-0 win at Dorchester. I know Yate, we was at the Yate game at Meadow Park, and they're not a bad side, are they?
They're solid, compact, organised. Darren Mullins has got them. They play some really nice football. They pass it about. Got Big Marlon up front who puts himself about. He's a handful. Yeah, they fully deserved to retain their status in the division they're in, I think, and they will be there next season, as maybe we will too.
It was obviously disappointing, Dave, because like I said, for a City point of view, it would have been. I know Farnham went on to beat Berkhamsted yesterday, but the disappointing thing for City would have been you've not put that pressure on them against Taunton
Yeah,
on Monday.
exactly. You know, if they beat Berkhamsted, if they beat Taunton, then we weren't going to be capturing them anyway, because I think it's as close as you can ever get to a foregone conclusion that they'll beat Tiverton in the last game at home. So I think the way it'll turn out, I think it'll eventually mean that whatever we'd have done, it would have been irrelevant. I think Farnham with those games in hand, fair play to them. They're playing something ridiculous like 7 games in 15 days or something. If they, as I said on Twitter, I can't help thinking it's a mistake taking the Surrey County Cup seriously and leaving themselves with sort of like 3 games a week at the end of the season. But if they pull it off and go up, then you can only take your hats off to them, really.
I was surprised, Dave. That's why I put that shush thing on X, because what they're doing is like,
the thing you put shush to, I'd actually put like, if they do it, hats off to them. So I was by no means saying that it was going to bite them in the bottom, but they've certainly made their own lives much more difficult by
that's what I mean. If you're a City fan,
the way they're looking at the moment wouldn't surprise me in the least if they win the County Cup and win the playoffs. And if they do, well done, Mr. Harry Hugo.
That's what I mean. Like, if you're a City fan, you're looking at what they're doing, you're thinking, absolutely, yes, this is what we want. Because if you go and have a look at your favourite team down the road, Hereford, even though they've given us a great chance yesterday, the Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games they've had to play have killed them.
They're still not out of the mire, are they? Because Alfred, two of the teams they've got to catch, Alfreton and Curzon Aston are playing each other on the last day of the season. So if one of those wins, then they're still struggling.
Well, they've got Marine Tuesday, and then they finish at home to Peterborough Sports, who got smashed 8-0 yesterday. It's in their hands. But anyway, it's not a Hereford podcast. No. But I take thing because of obviously Harry Powell and Aaron Downs. I'm with you. I've never really liked Hereford, but I just wanted to stay up because of Harry Powell and Aaron Downs, because they're good guys. So yeah, like I said, after the performance and all that, Dave, it was disappointing yesterday. Some may look at it and say, also wobble, you've lost two in the last 3 games, but overall, City have, there's 4 defeats in 10, but only 2 in the last 6, and some of them, if you went to the last 11, there's twice in those 2 results that City have won 5-0.
Yeah.
So it's not a wobble, is it? It's just. I think sometimes with City, is it fair to say, to lose at the wrong time?
They seem to be at the moment. But it's football, isn't it? It's football. You're not going to, unless you've got some sort of magic budget that you can outspend everybody else in the league, you're not going to win every game. If you win more than we're going to end up averaging nigh on 2 points a game. That's you can't ask for a great deal more than that, I don't think, when you've got a competitive budget, but not the top budget in the league. I think Davs has done a good job, and it's all about let's just back lads and get behind him for these last 2 and hopefully 3 games.
Yeah, because you mentioned, Dave, there was, we'll get on to Daft's thoughts in a minute as well. Because one thing he did say was he was disappointed to hear towards the end, some fans disgruntled.
Yeah.
And you said, and since other people say, sometimes it's like when people who don't go away all the time,
or even
it's
home all the time. You get
or
games like this that catch people's imagination. You get a lot of people who turn up, and don't get me wrong, we want more and more people to come to home and away games. That's the idea of a football team. We want bigger crowds, but sometimes you get people there at the bend shouting that was rubbish and booing. Not many did, but I believe some did. To be honest, as soon as that, maybe I'm worse, because as soon as that winner went in, I wanted to get on the coach, and I was out at the turnstile. I heard the whistle going as I was walking across the car park. But yeah, I believe some people were quite negative at the end. They got the right to be. I mean, they paid the money, but you do tend to find a lot of the time, I think, that it's the people who they say that was rubbish, and it wasn't very good. It wasn't a great performance, but they weren't in Dorchester to see us win 5-0. They just if you turn up now and again, then you take the chance of catching a game that we don't play well, haven't you? If you go every week, home and away, then you get a much more balanced view. And I think you find most of the people who do that are fully behind Daff and wouldn't really criticise too much. Although obviously you're disappointed when you lose a game, but it's one of them.
And sometimes it's always so. I always say this with Cheltenham. When you take a decent away following, the team always put in a stinker.
Yeah, exactly the same as Taunton, and we got a really big crowd. We really pushed it, and then we didn't turn up on the day. It is a shame, but at the end of the day now, Walton Hersham doesn't matter a jot. It's all about the semi-final and getting into the final. That's all. That's the only games that matter now. It doesn't.
One thing fans have got to realise as well. You take it. I've taken some of the defeats. You've slipped up against Berkhamsted, Uxbridge, and Taunton, as well as New Yate yesterday. Probably apart from Uxbridge, you at the time, to be fair, was still in the glimpse of the playoffs. The teams you've lost to have all had something to play for, and you've got to realise. People listen to the pod. I say it every week. It's funny result season where teams beat teams.
People don't. You've got no divine right to turn up and beat a game, to beat a side and win the game just because you get more fans or you're traditionally a bigger club or you've played at a higher level. When you get there, it's 11 men against 11 men, isn't it? And you're not going to win every week, and as disappointing it is, and as much as you kick the cat when you get home, you wake up the next day and just think, well, on to the next one. That's all you can do. Just support the team, win, lose or draw.
Yeah, and like you say, you've spoken about the playoffs, but it does look pretty much certain now that Gloucester will play Poole, unless there's some absolute miracle that Farnham lose their last two games, which, like you said, they've got Tiverton on the last day, and that's not going to happen. But it looks like you're going to play Poole. You've beaten them 2-1 away. You've beaten them 3-1 at home. Even though you missed out on a potential guaranteed final at home, I think for you guys, and this is from the outside, I don't know whether you agree, avoiding Berkhamsted. I know you said there's still that chance of Shoalin getting in, but Berkhamsted are probably the form team. It's not a bad thing missing them, is it, in the semis?
No, not at all. I'd love to see him go and turn Farnham over in the other semi, which means we'd be at home for the final, but we can't control that. We can only just concentrate on beating Poole. I might kidnap Shaq Gwengi the day before the game, because I think without them, I think we'll definitely beat him. But
send Sean down there. Say Robbie Savage wants to sign him, and then
that's not a bad shout. Go on, Robbie, go and sign Shaq. So yeah, it'll be a tough game against Poole. Tough game. They got. He's scored nearly 40 goals this season now, so he's a real threat, and we'll have to keep him quiet. But I can't think of anybody I'd rather keep him quiet than Jamal Mohammed and Michael O'Regan. So if we get through that, then we're either home or away in the final. But it's a one-off game, isn't it? And as we proved all those years ago in Farnborough, massive underdogs going away. It's a bit of a one-off cup final, and anybody can win it. And we just got to.
But that's it. The playoffs are, I just said there you beat them a moment away, but the playoffs, all that goes out the window, doesn't it? Really,
totally.
You will have that mental edge where you'll go, well, we have beaten them twice, but that could also go against you because you'll be thinking, well, we've beaten them twice, we know we can do it, and then maybe players, I wouldn't say they take their foot off the gas, but go in a bit overconfident.
Yeah, but it's just take it. As Daff says, you can just take every game as it comes, and just concentrate on the next one. I'm sure they'll all be well prepared, set up, and just need to fill them apart. Everybody get behind them, and hopefully we'll get to the final.
Yeah. And finally, just looking at the Southern League next season, Dave, Southern League Premier, it's important City go up, isn't it? Because if you look at the teams that'll be in there, Havant, Weymouth, potentially Bath, Hereford, Chippenham, all if they don't go up. There's some
Hereford.
big clubs. I'd said Hereford, yeah.
It's going to be a spicy old division next season, without a doubt. So, I'd very much like to not be in it. But
that's it. Because you look at City at the moment, I look at that division, and I think City are the team you expect to be in the top three.
Yeah.
But if that season was starting next season, it'd be hard to get in the top three.
I'd rather the likes of Bath and people like that than these I was concentrating looking at the division. I tend to look at the division below and who's coming up. Recently, we've had Tottenham coming up. We've got money to burn. Then it was Farnham. We've got money to burn. I'd rather play clubs that have, that are proper clubs rather than these
Not bankrolled clubs.
bankroll clubs. And I don't think there'll be any of those next season. For me,
Westfield look like they're coming up as well.
Frome have come up, isn't it? So they were in it before and went down. They're small to medium-sized club at the level. I'd still fight if we're there next season. I still think Darren Pearce thinks we'll be favourites. So the betting guru. So I think he wouldn't be far wrong, especially after playoffs 2 years running. Tottenham did it, didn't they? They were in the playoffs, lost a couple of finals, and then the third year they won the league. So
would it not be difficult though, Dave? Because obviously, you're the team in the Southern League. Everybody looks up and go, they're averaging 1,200 a game, but you will have Hereford who will average 2,500, Bath 1,500 to 2,000.
Really?
I was looking at their average. Bath City is the 1,800 average. Big. So it means that they'll have bigger budgets. Like I said, it's just super important you guys get out of this division this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've no doubt that the staff and the lads will do everything they can to make sure that happens. But if it doesn't, then we'll carry on supporting the team and try again next year.
Yeah, and on the daft thoughts, like I said, difficult. It was definitely one of Sean's mentioned this before about Robbie, saying after defeat, it's hard for a manager to come out after the game and try and put a balanced review on it. And he said it's difficult. The final we saw, he said started well, scored a great goal. 2 injured players killed the momentum. Didn't test that keeper enough. Winning goal was a great strike. But he said, we've had a good season. Take it on the chin. We move on. We've just lacked a bit of quality and sharpness in places. And then he goes on to say about he's disappointed in some of the anger towards the end. He said, but the fans were brilliant, stick together in a strong position. And it's exactly that, isn't it?
Couldn't word for word agree with every word.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, Dave. That's Gloucester City.
We'll go back to bed now.
Let's go on to Forest Green Rovers. Sean.
See, I'll hang around for Forest Green Rovers. I'll go before Cheltenham.
Yeah, you stick to the non-league stuff, mate.
Yeah. Could be fun. Could be fun this one.
Yeah, before we talk about the Hartlepool game, Sean, let's talk about last week, which the same as you, wasn't aware that there was the Forest Green end of season awards. Like, I don't know where big Gloucester Day, but Cheltenham always do it on the last home game of the season, which is, for you would be Morecambe. But it was done last week. Tom Knowles, Supporters Player of the Year. You was pleased with that, Sean?
Yeah. Obviously, I didn't see anything about the awards before the game, so I went into the ground obviously quite late, and then obviously everyone was a few people were talking about it, and there was messages on the group chat. But yeah, Tom Knowles, Supporters Player, which I think he fully deserves that. He's a cracking player. I've spoke about him quite a few times through the season on the pod, and he just works hard, and he's been playing sort of out of position, if you like. He's been playing right back at a lot of times, and he's been chipping in with a lot of goals as well. Obviously, I think I said it last time. We spoke about Gus Scott Morris at Southend for the volume of goals he scores from that position, and Tom Knowles is probably not far off with them sort of numbers. So yeah, cracking player, and really happy for him. Really deserved.
Yeah, definitely. And then Kyle McAllister, who obviously I've got to watch a lot of your games, Sean, and take a lot of notes on it. To me, if I was a Forest Green Rovers fan, he would, I think he deserves this award. Gets the Players Player of the Year.
Yeah, not disrespecting any of the other players, but I think he's probably hands down the best player in the team. He's one of the best in the division, to be honest. I think he's only one of the only players that walks into pretty much all the teams in the National League, in most in League Two, and you'd probably even say there's probably even a couple in League One that you might like get into. So yeah, he's a good player.
Just to stop there, Sean just put into our group that actually Bath City's average attendance is just over 1,100.
When you said that, I thought that was wrong.
I might have been looking at their attendance against Torquay.
Yeah, they've got a couple of local derbies, haven't they? But yeah, they have less than us.
To be honest, I think they're a club similar to Gloucester that, if they're run properly and they advertise properly and things like that, I think they could draw in a lot of fans.
Just really quick, I've just heard that Ellis Watts is indeed out for the season, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. That is a shame. Yeah, no, I went into a Bath game last season against Torquay, and there was about 600-700 Torquay fans there on a Tuesday night. So they do get. I might have been looking at the wrong one, but I thought that they had an average of between 16 and 1,800. So thanks for that, Sean. Anyway, goal of the season, Sean, for Forest Green was Tom Knowles' goal against Eastleigh. I can remember this goal because this is one I don't think Cheltenham were playing that day, and I watched the game. It was where he caught the keeper out, wasn't it, and bent it in. Do you agree with that as being the goal of the season?
I'm not going to disagree with it. I think there was quite a few good goals. I think that's come into play. I think because of the importance and the timing of it. It was a good goal. I'm not going to take that away. I think there was some notable mentions. I always remember Nick Orton's first goal in the first game of the season against Solihull, where he used his left foot, and it was an incredible finish where he just he sort of chipped and bent it into the top corner, and it was a hell of a goal. And then obviously you have Mendes, but they'd already done a vote before Mendes got the other weeks. Yeah, I mean, there was a few good goals. It's always tough to pick them in it, and everyone has different opinions and all that. So, yeah,
it would be interesting. Go on.
No, that was it. So yeah, fair play to him. Again, I ain't against him winning that. It's good for him. Happy for him. Like I said, he's worked hard, and he's just one of them players that you can't be anything but happy.
Yeah, like I said, it'd be interesting to get the Forest Green fans' opinion. So if you're listening to this and you've got a different opinion, just drop us a message on X. There's two goals for me. What stands out for Rovers? It was a good free kick, but for me, I think Mendes his goal could have been up there. But the goal for me, I think, what would have won goal of the season for Forest Green should have been the one I think was against Brackley, where the ball was put into the channel. Nick Orton just backheels it, and McAllister fires it into the top corner. Because of the general play, the build up to it. It was like I said to you at the time, Sean, is when Orton sort of backheels it, it takes two defenders out of the game, and McAllister hits it really well, doesn't he, into the top corner?
Yeah, no, again, that's another good goal. Yeah, what I mean. Yeah, there was quite a few. It's always tough to pick goal of the season and things like that. But like I said, when someone like Tom Knowles wins it, you can only really be happy for him. Anything that comes to him in the ways of awards and player of the matches and what have you, I'm always really happy because he does deserve it. He's probably got to be my favourite players. Just his attitude, the way he is, he just works hard and he deserves everything he gets.
Yeah,
he stays for next season.
Yeah, you're right. He's 12 goals this season from right back, which is an outstanding return. And like I said, last season under Kotze was playing at top, and he's had to adapt to a different role this season, and he's added. But to talk about favourite players, a bit of a controversial comment from Robbie, and some of your fans, including yourself, have questioned it. Knowles gets Supporters Player of the Year. But he did say, because I don't think Knowles should have got it, because I would have given it to McAllister or Mendy. Now, before I say this, Rob is entitled to his opinion. You know, he's going to look at.
So are the supporters, though. It's the supporters player of the year. Surely they get to choose. Okay, can you tell the supporters that they're wrong in their decision? Like,
no, you're right, Dave. You're right.
well,
He's entitled to his opinion because obviously, as you guys would have been when we was growing up, you used to have managers player of the year. You know, used to get all sorts of player of the year. So he's entitled to that. But do you think, Sean, that again we always allude to Robbie? Robbie's played at the top level, so he out of everybody in this division, apart from Jermaine Defoe now, he should be very media savvy, knowing what he can and can't say. And because a lot of your fans have jumped all over it, including yourself.
Yeah. At the time, I didn't see the interview straight away. I heard people talking about it, so when I got around to watching it, yeah, I thought it was a bit naughty. It's not that I would say I disagree with what he says. Obviously, I think, like I said, I think Tom Knowles was probably worthy of that. But like you said, Carl McAllister got players player. As for Mendy, I think he's a cracking player and he's been a cracking player. But the problem is you can't forget how he's been since all that heart stuff. And I think a lot of that sits in the heads of Forest Green fans. And although I said at the time I don't blame Mendy, I still think there's a lot of people that you wouldn't give him an award because he got dropped at Bournemouth for his sort of attitude and things like that. So for me, yeah, I'm glad Knowles got it, and I'm glad Macca got players player. They both deserve an award, and they both got the award. Mendy, like I said, he's been a cracking player, but get your head down, work hard, and if he stays, maybe next season.
Yeah, I personally would have given it to Harry Eistedt just for the sheer amount of clean sheets.
There is one comment that I've written down. I've not written the guy's name down. If you're listening and you want to put on X that issue, it's fine. But he did say that Robbie only wanted Mendy because it's been evident all season that Mendy's his player. Obviously, he brought him from Macclesfield. I don't think that's in Robbie's thoughts, is it, Sean?
No, I think Robbie does just rate him. And I'm not saying he's wrong or with what he said. Sometimes I just don't think you just say things like if you think that's fine, but I don't think you should say some things out loud. And but that was one of the things that I would have probably just said if I was in his position. I probably would have just congratulated Knowles, and the rest I would have just left.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like if you're playing local football, if your manager turns around to Bob in the bar and goes, I don't think Sean should have been player of the year, it should have been Dave. 9 times out of 10, that's not going to get back to you. But the thing is, when you're in professional football, you don't need the players to go back to Knowlesy and go, well, the gaffer, I don't think you just, that's all over social media. The press are going to highlight it more. So to Knowlesy, it might take a bit of the gloss off thinking, well, the fans think I'm great, but my manager thought I didn't deserve it. But to be fair, if you listen to the whole interview after Robbie does say that, he does go on to say that Knowles has been brilliant and you can see why the fans would have.
Yeah. To be fair, I think that's probably one of the, it's probably one of the best awards you can win as well. I mean, that and the players player really, in it, because when you think of the fans and what they think you do, it's, as a professional player, I think all you boys kind of know that, some players do get a lot of stick, especially through the season. And it's nice when you know that you're appreciated by the fans as a whole as well. So for him, that's, I think that's one of the best awards you can win as well. So I know what you're saying now. If it goes out in the media and people are going, oh, so-and-so don't, I'd be like, well, the fans who pay their hard-earned money to come and watch me appreciate me, and you hear the stick that they give at some people. So I'd actually take that as a bigger compliment than obviously the negative sort of side of it, really. So, yeah.
I don't think for 1 minute Robbie's saying that he doesn't deserve it. I think it's more just about that surprise that he said that out loud, and because it always gets misinterpreted and what have you. But well done Knowlesy, well done McAllister, and well done Knowlesy again for goal of the season. On to yesterday's game, Sean, which I'm pretty sure you don't want to talk about. the two positives for Forest Green were Etaluku and Reece started. So obviously getting game time before the playoffs.
Yeah, I was really excited because, Sean Etaluku, he came in and he's obviously played he played like 45 minutes at Luton, but he was injured whilst he was, quite early on in that game. So I was, I've heard quite a lot about him and I was quite excited to see what he was about. And I'm really happy that he was back on the football pitch before the end of the season because it didn't sound good when he had to go and have like an operation or surgery, whatever. And I thought that was him going to be done. And he's only a young lad as well. Yeah, it was really good to see him and Reece back as well in getting a start.
Yeah. And one thing what surprised me was, we talked last week about Kieran Harris was back in amongst it all, but he wasn't in the squad at all on Saturday.
Yeah, that surprised me. To be fair, I thought he'd have been starting that game, but yeah, he wasn't. It's, thing is, we've got obviously more players back from injury now, and I guess you can only name so many players on the bench. So, he's won this. He's kind of not been in the frame all season. So, I guess Rob has seen players ahead of him, and put them on the bench. Yeah. And unfortunately, he's been one that's had to miss out.
Yeah. So, in the early stages, I thought Rovers were getting down the flanks quite early on, and Gilly was getting on the ball, wasn't he? And he put a few balls across the goal, Sean, which again disappointing from a Rovers point of view. Nobody was getting on the end of.
Yeah, I thought we started okay. We had a lot of space out wide. We just couldn't, seem to get the breakthrough. Which I think we did get the breakthrough actually. And then the referee, for some reason,
we'll go on to that one. We'll go on to that one because
disallowed it. So, but I thought we started okay.
Yeah, because in the 13th minute, Rovers had a chance where you should have gone 1-0 up really. It was a great ball in by Gilly, but Ricardo Reece, his touch wasn't great, was it? It rolled into the keeper's arms.
I was almost up celebrating on that one because as soon as he gets in front of goal, there's only going to be one outcome, and he done a heavy touch and it went into the keeper. So I was a little bit gutted, especially for him as well, because he had his injury and he's sort of come back, and it'd have been nice for him to get that goal.
Yeah, would you if you wanted to stick up for the lad, would you say it was potentially down to a bit of rustiness?
Probably, yeah, because like I said, it's a long time out. If he hadn't have had that injury and he'd still been playing, I think that's a goal all day long. He's just a cracking player, so there's no blame on there really.
Yeah, but I think obviously a minutes later, Rovers had another chance, and I think Mendy was obviously a bit annoyed about the goal of the season. It didn't get it because he was trying to beat it again. He had a shot from distance, and it just tipped over, didn't it?
Yeah. And he played obviously midfield yesterday. Thought he did all right actually. Thought he looked quite good in the middle. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously bringing with confidence from the last time he scored. Yeah.
We'll get on to the disallowed goal now. Now, Chris, Dave, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Have you seen the disallowed goal for Rovers? While me and Sean are talking about it, if you both quickly go on to Rovers X page, they got the.
I can't. I'm banned. I'm sure I'll be able to get it on one of my different X accounts. Is there a video on Twitter? Is there?
Yeah, if you go on to their highlights, there's about 8 minutes of highlights. But if you skip through, it's in the first half. It would be good to get your opinion.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Yeah, Sean, we talk about the goal disallowed. So it's the 26th minute, and the ball comes in.
Yeah, I'm watching it now. 25 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yeah, Moore gets a brilliant header onto it. but it's ruled out. Now, Robbie, in his post-match, does say that they say it was offside. He goes, and then they saying it was a foul. Now, before I give my opinion on it, what's your opinion on the goal, Sean?
I thought it was a goal.
Right, highlights, slow motion.
I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
I've seen a problem. I've seen a problem. I don't know who it is, but whoever the Forest Green player on the line,
Black guy's pushing the back of the goal.
he pushes the goalie.
Yeah.
He pushes the goalie.
It's Jilly Biabu.
Yeah.
So the ball comes in, he pushes the goalkeeper. Not only does he push the keeper, he's offside and he's interfering play.
Yeah,
He's beyond the goalkeeper.
If you're pushing the goalkeeper, you're certainly interfering with play, and he was in an offside position and he was pushing the goalkeeper.
If you watch the replay back, when he shows the replay, it actually then goes to beyond the goal.
Yeah, that's what I just watched, and he's literally stepping the goalkeeper forward, who makes him fall over. So yeah, no goal.
Yeah, I think it's a foul, but I also think it's offside because he's beyond the goalkeeper. And now
Doesn't matter what does it. It's not a goal.
Yeah. But obviously, I wanted to get your opinion on it, Sean. Which you've obviously
I hadn't seen the goal back. I saw it yesterday, and at the time I was like, wow. And then even like the commentators was confused as to what
it was a good spot actually, because when I watched it at full speed from the angle that the referee would have seen it, I saw nothing wrong. It was only when I saw the view from the back of the net that it's obviously a foul on the keeper.
I haven't seen it back, but I mean, if that's the case, then
he just both hands in the goalkeeper's back and just pushes him over. So yeah, it's a good spot.
It's a definite. You don't get away with that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I've got you. Like I said, I watched it a few times, and I said the reason I didn't jump in my opinion, I wanted to see what Sean's was. But to be fair, Sean's not seen the highlights back. The highlights give a better view beyond the goal.
Yeah. I'd be really upset if it was disallowed for me when I was a fan watching the game at full speed. But when you see the replay, you can totally understand it, can't you?
But that's going to be annoying, Sean, because there's no need for Gilly to touch the goalkeeper. Because to be fair, even if he's not on the keeper or offside, the keeper ends stopping that more Taylor header anyway.
No, he's, to be honest, we got a couple more games and then Gilly be going back, and thank God for that. I just don't like the bloke. He's got all the ability. I don't like his attitude, and he just does the stupidest of things. I'm happy Sean Etaluku's back, and hopefully he can take up that position.
The thing is, I know you've mentioned before about that you're not keen on Gilly as a person. You think he's got a bit of an attitude problem. But to be fair, if you can get Etaluku, so if he starts next week against Morecambe, getting more game time, those are the two players, in my opinion, who, along with McAllister, could be the difference with Forest Green in the playoffs, because having Gilly on the one side and Etaluku on the other side, that's going to stretch a lot of defenses.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't seen too much Etaluku. From what I've heard, they reckon he's going to be better than Gilly. And if he's got, and I don't think it's going to be hard, but if he's got a better sort of mentality and mindset than Gilly, I think he could be one hell of a player. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing Etaluku back and getting more game time. Obviously, got 45 minutes yesterday, so that was a nice. That was always a plan for him to get 45 minutes. So hopefully up that to probably about an hour or 70 minutes for the next game, and then he should be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. In the 34th minute, Sean, so after Hartlepool take the lead, Robbie was a bit critical of the defending. Again, it's only my opinion. I thought it was a bit harsh because I think the lad pulls the ball back really well and Campbell finishes really well, puts it into the top corner.
From their perspective, I think it's a nice goal, good finish. From ours, I think the midfield have to be doing a little bit better there. I think if you see the goal back, Horton's not quite got back to stop it. But yeah, I mean, it was frustrating because, like I think we spoke about it last week, I think we spoke about it last week. Hartlepool couldn't hit a guy's ass with a banjo, and then we let him score. So it was frustrating.
Yeah. So you said the first goal I thought was actually really decent play, but you say about Horton getting back. By the time they're wide, the player, I can't remember the player wide, you pulled it back across. They said Campbell arrived onto it and finished well. But the second goal, I fully support what Robbie says about this one. I think their number 6 was literally free in the area, and yeah, Power's only header, and it's 2-0. And it was uphill from then, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was right on the stroke of half time as well, I think, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's frustrating. Not the end of the world. I think if you look at the game as a whole, I think Robbie was having a little bit of a tinkle with, some of the players and the formation and things like that to see how it all went. I'd be pretty confident in saying after that game, he's probably seen what he wanted to see, or not wanted to see, if you like. But I think he knows that he ain't about to do some stuff against probably Bournemouth in the playoffs, looking like we were going to get.
Oh, hold that thought there, because I want to dive into that a little bit more towards the end. Obviously, that's half time. It goes in 2-0. You say about Etaluku, he had 45 minutes. Always planned it to be 45 minutes. Do you see that? Can you see that in making an impact in the playoffs? Do you think it'd be too soon to maybe get that tune into him?
I think he could. He had some glimpses yesterday. I mean, it was hard because we didn't play. I said we played okay. I think we overhit a few passes and the through balls, and every time we went down his side, it always seemed to be the case. We sort of overhit a pass and it went, out for a goal kick and what have you. So, but he does look like when he did have the ball, he does look like he could be a dangerous player. So, I'm excited to see him, and I think he could have a say in, what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah. In you obviously said at halftime, Sean. But Arnold haven't scored in a few games, and they couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo. He was obviously pretty annoyed. What do you think it is with Forest Green? Because you do struggle to keep, joking aside, I know Chris has reminded you all season, you do struggle to keep consistent clean sheets. And in the end, it's probably has cost you the chance of being near that top 3. What do you think the reason is?
I think it's just been got constant changes in defence, centre backs, and what have you. We've not really kept, an actual partnership all season long. Like I said, it's when you look at other teams, and I mean, I can't speak of, like Cheltenham and things like that. I don't know who they play, but you look at other teams at the top level, like I said, and I'll go use Arsenal as an example. They have like Gabriel and Saliba, and that's like the main 2 centre backs, and they're there sort of more or less most weeks, apart from unless there's an injury. Obviously, we've had Jordan Moore-Taylor out injured for a massive part of the season. We had Ryan Innes out for a massive part of the season. And then obviously whatever's gone on, he's obviously now not part of the squad. So we bring Kean Harris in, who's now played. We played Mendy there, who's been in midfield and been at centre back. We had young Gabe Kirkhoff come in, again, who's inexperienced and is probably the highest level he's played at. So he's got a lot to learn. I just think there's just been so many constant changes. Even, and I know Rob has said it quite a few times, even you're right, right in left backs and what have you. It's been, constantly changing. You've had Trey, Nosey, Mingy. I just think there's just been loads. There's never been a settled defence. And for me, that's one of the most important parts of a team. You learn how everyone plays and where everyone is, and I just think there's patterns that they all, and I just think it's too much changes.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes they talk about continuity, don't they? And you can change a strike force to try and get a formula or, a couple of wide players. But I agree, if your defence is constantly, you always hear managers, you mentioned Arsenal then as an example, managers always talk about, I can remember going back into the 90s when Ferguson used to talk about it, he used to say, strikers win your games, defences win your leagues. And it's probably a fair comment, isn't it?
Yeah. I like most teams, they do win the leagues are defensively strong, build from the back, as it's always been said quite a lot. And I think that's one thing that's probably been our weakness this season. A strong defence and what have you, and they can help you go forward as well. So hopefully that's
Are you finally coming around to my chain of thought there, Sean?
No, I still think you're I can't swear. No, but I think I said it in an earlier pod that we've kept changing the defence, and it's something that I think we're gonna have to look at and try and rectify in the summer. I can only really see one defender remaining, which would be Gabe Kirkhoff. I think Jordan Taylor's out of contract. I think it's pretty obvious that Innes isn't going to be with us. Anu was only on loan. Mingy was only on loan.
Well, I know he's had a couple of injuries, Sean, but what's gone wrong with Innes? Let's go back to when he was called up for international. He was absolutely firing for Forest Green. He was scoring the late goals. Do you think there's something's gone on there? Expecting, if you do know, I'm not expecting you to really spill the beans, but do you think something's gone on there where maybe because it was well known in the press, wasn't it? Robbie did kind of come in and put that little bit of pressure on by going, really don't want him to go, and he didn't go, and then hasn't really played since then. I know he's picked up a couple of injuries. Do you think it's something's gone on from there?
I genuinely don't know. Obviously, he hasn't been in the squad, and I know he came back and at one point and what have you, but yeah, I genuinely don't know what's gone on. Obviously, something's not been right since that international, scenario, call whatever you want to call it. I think they had a bit of an argument after the first game after that international thing. Obviously, I wasn't at the game on that one.
I saw one of your fans put that there was some word.
A few people talking about it. I think he got hooked at half time, and ever since then, he's never really, he's had injuries. But yeah, I don't know. Something's gone on. It's a shame because Innes is a big player. I think he's a good player. He's someone that he would make a difference. But you've kind of just got to respect what's the decisions that are made. It's something that I just don't think we'll ever know, really.
Well, he will be. He is a big miss. I always say, because we had him on loan at Cheltenham when he was young. He's not a player you want. He's one of those defenders you want him to give the striker a yard, keep him at arm's length. Because if he gets in behind you, he's going to, you ain't going to turn and catch him. But what you do find is when you come against a physical sides who like to get the football forward, he's the centre half that you want in any team because he wins everything, doesn't he?
I think he's obviously with what Robbie tries to play, Innes struggles in that system a little bit because he's not a quick defender. But again, when we've been losing games, I think he was pushed up front a couple of times, a little bit like a Kiefer Moore. A big, just a lump up and nod it down and what have you. So yeah, he's a big miss. But it is what it is.
Hey, sure. Managers at every club fall out of players, it's not always the manager's fault either.
No, like I said, but we don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. I don't want to, give any sort of too much opinion on it because I don't want people to take it.
Go on.
Think I know something and what have you. So I genuinely don't know. People have asked me and I genuinely don't know. So I don't really speculate on it too much. all I want to do is concentrate on what we have got and where we're going, and the playoffs.
But let's talk about what you have got, because obviously then we'll talk about the McAllister goal. Gabe Kirko, he was back on the bench. I think it was Tom who put on there, is Kirko injured? And then one of your fans replied to him and said, no, he had one bad game and he's been hooked. So there is this feeling, isn't there, amongst Forest Green fans, that if a player has a bad game, that he can't rectify it the next game, he gets ripped out. Do you think that's unfair, or do you think it's a fair comment?
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, aren't they? I mean, yeah. Thing is, like I said, he's a young lad. He's playing at a new level. And we're coming into a sort of a really important point in the season. And everyone's been calling for experience and what have you. And I think we've half sort of gone with that a little bit of late, with Mingy and Jordan Moore-Taylor coming in. And now they're all asking for an inexperienced player. Where does Robbie win on that?
Just sign another player, another new player after every defeat.
This is Wembley.
Yeah, but it's a serious thing, isn't it? Like, everyone was asking for experience. We've got and now they're all asking where the inexperienced defender is. So, I'm not, it's not me.
That's a fair comment.
I know it sounds like I'm sticking up for it. I just like to try and see things as I say things as I see it, and I was one that I kept going on about experience, and we've had experience. Like yesterday, we had experience. Jordan Moore-Taylor, Jamie. Who else was it? Asghar Ahmed. Right, he's a young lad, but he's highly thought of, and he's played for Reading and what have you in levels above. So yeah, I mean, everyone was quite like Robbie was going with a young team. Everyone was crying out for experience. We get the experience. Now they're all crying out for a young player. So
do you know,
same thing. How does Robbie win on that scenario?
That was a fair comment, because what I tend to do is when I go through your comments on your X, your Facebook, and whether there's any on Instagram or anything like that, there's a lot of comments I don't even take no notice of, because and you start to get the feel of the same people. It doesn't matter if you win 6-0, they would say that the bus travel was crap on the way back and it's all Forest Green Rovers' fault, it's Robbie's fault. So you kind of ignore those sort of comments. But sometimes you get people who are like balanced, who will make the odd comment, and you think, oh, it's a fair comment. But you are right. People have been moaning about experience all season, and now they're shouting for Kirko. But we did talk about that last week, didn't we? And we did say that maybe these two games were the games to get that mistake out of his body.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, the thing is, we're coming into a big part of the season. Like I said, Rob has been, tinkering with things to probably try and have a look and see what system works, what players he feels he can trust. Trying different things, because this is a time that you're going to be trying them. Because then when you get into the playoffs, like I said, after that mistake that Kirko made, would he be in the right frame of mind? Would he have, would he be able to hold his nerves in that sort in a game of the playoffs? We don't know. Yeah. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's the right thing to give him a bit of a break and then draft him in again for next season once he's had a full pre-season and a full summer and all that. And I mean, Robbie, I'm sure Robbie will know what he's doing, and he's probably speaking to him. So yeah, I mean,
it's easier with a younger player, isn't it? Because you can say, look, I'm going to take you at the firing line. I'm going to get,
I mean, for me, and I've said it, especially for the playoffs, I would like to see a bit of experience in there, a bit of know-how, and for me, that is like Jordan Moore-Taylor and stuff. So, it'd be interesting to see what Robbie goes with. But
before we get into Robbie's thoughts, to just talk about the goal, McAllister with his 18th goal of the season. It was kind of like it was a carbon copy of his goal at Eastleigh, wasn't it?
I can't even remember his goal at Eastleigh now.
Same as yesterday, shot from outside the area and it trickled into the bottom corner.
Yeah, that's happened a few times, mind. Do you know what I mean, this season? it's just what he does. He shoots and he seems to score. So
Yeah, and we've discussed before, Aaron. We think it said that if Rovers definitely don't go up, you can't expect him to still be playing in National League next season, can you?
no, I mean we'll have to see, won't we, what happens there.
But I know Robbie did say that there was an option, but
There
as
is
an
there's a 12-month club option, which I think that's already been used on him. So if he's going to go, he's going to be going for money. I just think we have to watch this space and see what happens.
Yeah, I just think, if as an outsider, if he stays in the National League, maybe you start questioning the player's ambition.
Maybe you've also got to remember he could be settled down there. I think he's got kids that might be going to school as well down here at the moment.
He could go to Bristol Rovers, could go to Bristol City, he could go to Swindon, Oxford, Exeter.
Depends, what they pay, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, there is that. There is that.
If your kid's going to school in the area, it's still a long way to Exeter and back. So
yeah, to professional.
You just got to remember there's a lot of factors in it, and it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it will. But if he's got the option and it's been exercised, then like you said, a team would have to pay a fee. I just think it'd be a great shame someone of his quality if he's going to spend another season in the National League. In my opinion,
he's still young enough, so he could give us
26. It's 26, Sean.
Yeah, you're not even in your prime at 26, so it's always 28 to sort of 32, isn't it? I think they used to say.
Yeah,
I'm 53. I haven't hit mine yet.
So it'd be interesting to see. Like I said, he might move on. He might give one more year. We never know.
Yes. If he's enjoying his football and like you said, he's in the area, that plays a big factor as well, doesn't it?
Like I said, it's not. I'm not saying he won't go, and I'm not, or whatever. And even if he doesn't go, I still don't. I think he can still go up and play at a good level. Like I said, even next summer, he's only going to be 27. It's still a good age. Teams are going to still get a good few years out of him.
Yeah.
Be good to see.
Onto Robert's thought. Obviously, he criticised defending. One thing he did say, and again, outside view, that's why he said, "Oh, that thought." He said he was playing about with a few things, trying to find the system. Blah. Do you not find that concerning? You're 45 games in, and your manager's still trying to find a system.
A little bit, yeah. Like I said, we've had obviously players injured. We've said about Etaluku. Ryder Reese has had a long-term injury and come back. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for having a little dabble. This is a time to do it. Try and see what works and how players work and what's best for how to get someone like Sean Etaluku into the game, and So yeah, I mean, I think fans need to understand that a little bit from yesterday. It was frustrating to lose. Obviously, I was frustrated, but you've also got to look at the bigger picture and think, that what he's trying to do, he's going to try and find a recipe to go up, isn't he? So
the thing is, I looked at after I listened to Robbie's interview at the end. I went and had a look at Bournemouth, looked at Scunthorpe, Carlisle. They're all still playing the same systems and pretty much the same players. And you look at Southend are now on a great run. They've got that momentum. And you spoke about a few weeks ago that the running games Forest Green had towards the end of the season were very favourable. And it was all about picking up those wins and getting that momentum. And I think now is it something like it's still 6 wins in like 8 or 9 games or something like that. But the momentum, the only thing of tinkering at that point of the season, the momentum may be taken out. So you're going to be potentially playing against Bournemouth from scratch, maybe a new system and going it that. Where if you'd have stuck with, I think what you've probably been best at all season, a 4-2-3-1, I think it was. You could go into the game, you could lose a couple, but go, this has done us well all season. But now that momentum is kind of seen to be, if you lose today, then I can't see you losing against Morecambe at home. But if you're going to lose against Morecambe, you're going into that on a bit of a flattener. Do you know what I mean? Where Southend are now on that
I know what you're saying. I mean, obviously, it puts a little bit of dent in the momentum, doesn't it? So, yeah, I think we've got to go and hopefully get the win next week. What you just said there about a 4-2-3-1, I wouldn't. I think we will probably see something similar. I don't think a 2 up top works. I think Robbie, I did speak to him, and I think he kind of knows what he can and probably can't do. So I hopefully, like, all I would say is just get behind the team for the playoffs. Let's try not to bring any negativity into these games, even the Morecambe game. We just need to get behind them, stay positive, and what will be will be. There's no time for negativity now. Arguments on who's not playing and what have you. So just get behind the team, support the team, and let's see what happens.
I agree with that. And finally, it looks like you're going to be playing Bournemouth. I did say a couple of weeks ago, and this is probably the first time I've had Forest Green Rovers fans messaging me on X and privately going, "Fair play, Dan. You've talked a lot of sense there." And I've screenshot him. So in about 12 months' time, when they start giving me stick, I'll bring him back out. But Bournemouth for Forest Green, like I said, we've spoken about a lot, Sean, about Forest Green against the top sides, and you could potentially put Hartlepool in that again. They're ninth in the table. The top sides you've struggled with against this season, but Bournemouth are the ones who haven't beaten you. I said to you about Forest Green are probably better off going to Bournemouth than going to Glanford Park in front of 9,000. Not a very good pitch, where Bournemouth's pitch is still pretty decent, because I'm pretty sure Arsenal women use their ground, so that they put a lot of money into the pitch. So for Forest Green to go there, I know you're going to get the home tie, and I know it probably sets up either York or Rochdale in the semis if you get through, but it probably would be a better avenue for Forest Green rather than going Scunthorpe and potentially Carlisle.
Yeah, a lot of players, a lot of fans actually in the group chats and stuff. And on Facebook, they've all been saying the same thing. It'd be like the best option for us would be to finish 7th. And get Bournemouth. I think, like you said, Scunthorpe and Southend and what have you, pulling big crowds, wouldn't they? And so to go to Bournemouth, it'd probably help a little bit, considering they're sort of like Forest Green. They don't get, they don't pack their ground out. But yeah, I mean, it's probably the best option. We haven't lost to them. I think we beat them at home and drew away. We can only hope, and it's only a couple of hours away, innit? I mean, an horrible evening trip to bloody Scunthorpe or Southend and whatever, that's a hell of a trek, innit? Only being a couple of hours away might help everybody, the team and the fans and stuff. So
yeah, I think it might be the best avenue for him, and that's the way I would be thinking of it if I was my team in the playoffs. But as we've said with Gloucester City, when it gets to the playoffs, that form, the previous go in the window.
Like I said, I know there was frustration with the game yesterday, and like I said, people just need to remember that Robbie was trying out different things, different players, trying to see if there's something, maybe that we haven't seen all season. I think he's seen what he needed to. I think going into the playoffs, I think we'll see some sort of maybe the old formation, maybe one up top. So, like I said, just stay positive, get behind the team, get behind, everything, regardless of what you disagree with. Just get behind them at Morecambe and get behind them in the playoffs. That's what you can ask for.
Brilliant.
And can I just add as well, if anyone who's not really, interested in lower league football or whatever it might be,
I don't imagine they're listening.
The title race. Just have a look at the title race in the National League and the National League North with South Shields and Fylde. It's cracking, isn't it? That's why we love football.
The South is amazing as well. Have you seen the South?
Same again, isn't it?
Mark White's Dorking had it absolutely wrapped up, and they've lost the last 4 games.
games.
And now they could feasibly, if all results went and drop out of the playoffs, if they
Drop out
lost
the
the
playoffs,
last
I saw
game.
that yesterday.
Yeah, it's just cracking in it. I think all these leagues they're just really interesting. I mean, the things yesterday, you know, with York winning and then Rochdale conceding in the 91st minute and then scoring in the 99th minute to keep it alive, and then they're playing each other next week. I mean, that's going to be one hell of a game.
Yeah, looking forward to
It's
that.
brilliant. I was watching the York game yesterday, and I want York to come up because I want the weekend away at York. But I was glad when obviously they had the split screen and they were showing the Rochdale game, and then when Rochdale scored, I actually cheered because I said to my missus, she goes, "I thought you want York to come up." I said, "I do," but I said just for football purposes, I said it goes to the last
It'll
day.
make for a hell of a finish, isn't it?
I tweeted that as a neutral. You just want it to go to the last day, don't you? And I think that's going to be one hell of a game in fair play. I mean, Rochdale and York fans, they're going to be buzzing. That's almost going to be like a Wembley final.
Well, it is a playoff final, isn't it? Winner takes all. And you know, and I look the same with. I want Barrow to go down because I don't want to go to Barrow next season. I want to go to Newport, but I kind of hope that none of them win next week and it goes to the last game between Barrow and Newport.
Even the League Two relegation's quite interesting. You look at the table; it's like the bottom 5 teams. You know, if the bottom 3 win, then you know I think it's Crawley and Tranmere go down. Like it's
crazy.
It's mental for the last game of the season or couple of games of the season.
This is why we like the EFL and non-league, and we don't really talk about Premier League because this is where all the action and where the real passion is, guys. So, yeah, brilliant. That's Forest Green, Sean. Thanks very much, mate.
That's all right.
Let's go on to Cheltenham Town. Sponsored by Emirates Racing for all your horse news and whatever it is, Chris, you do, because I don't know anything about horse racing.
Not a lot of news, mate. I've got to be honest. If you want to get involved in a racehorse, then get in touch. Yeah,
get in touch with Chris. He's
You actually mean foal?
That's why I don't say it because I'm a forester. But yeah, get in contact with Chris, and he'll happy to talk you through it. So, Chris, is it anything from is it the birth of the horse through to retirement? Isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, mate. I've got there's options for everyone. Essentially, you can follow from a very young age. There's 3 yearlings at the moment, and I've also got a 3-year-old that's going into training with Fergal O'Brien, who'll be running later this year.
Yeah. Or maybe in the future when we get a little bit bigger on the pod, we can sponsor an horse, and that horse goes and wins the Cheltenham Gold Cup, and then before you know it, we'll have our own studio.
Only if we can call it Talk of the County.
Talk of the County. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Excellent. Chris, just before we go on to the games, the Cheltenham have announced that they're looking for a manager or director. Is some of the fans have been shouting out for right direction?
Yeah, 100%. It's probably, I'd say, the most important position at the club. Moving forward, so yeah, it's forward.
Thank you.
Forward. Sorry.
Weird.
Yeah, so it's a really important position that will be added into the club, and it can only bring benefit to the back end of the club.
Yeah, I was on the Robbins report last week, and I will apologise to Clive because I name dropped, and it wasn't a name drop. So I didn't want Clive to have it. It was just an example. I think it's just very important if Cheltenham are going to have a manager director, Chris, that they have to go out and get an external, somebody with new ideas. That's nothing against Clive, but it's about, that's why I used his name as an example last week. I could have said Dave Bloxham. I could have said anybody. I just think if anybody in the club goes for it, I think the club just need to look at the bigger picture and go, we need fresh ideas to come out and push the club forward. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. It can't come from internally. It's got to be external, and preferably someone that's had that position before at a different club, rather than someone just stepping into the role for the first time.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if nobody's seen this, where have you been all week? But there's a petition going around to give Steve Cottrell the freedom of the town. Last I heard yesterday, it was approaching 1,000 signatures. But it's something you look at. You look at Wrexham. They've just given what's his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
No, Phil Parkinson. The freedom of Wrexham for getting them 3 or 4 promotions in a row. Now, Steve Cottrell has gone from 1997, taking over Cheltenham, 98, getting him to the FA Trophy final and winning, 99, getting him into the Football League, 2002, getting him to League One, then going on to manage clubs such as Forest Green as well.
Wow.
Not the Forest, Bristol City, Portsmouth, coaching the assistant manager at Sunderland, Oak, QPR, Leicester. He's been at some really big clubs in this country, and he's come back. The job he's done this season as well. You'll agree with this, Chris. We were close to dropping out the Football League in September. We was literally going one way. So to drag the players and get the results he has, it's fair. It's something that needs to happen, isn't it?
I mean, he deserves it. I'm not sure it needs to happen, but it's something he definitely deserves. It's he's probably arguably the most successful person from the town. I do say arguably because there are some other people in there. Sorry?
Gustav Holst would have something to say about that, I imagine.
Possibly. That's why I said arguably, my friend.
Well, I'm ready to argue. Gustav Holst for me.
I don't even know who Gustav Holst is. So that tells you everything. But no, he's everywhere else in the country. They look after their own, and they reward people who've done well in their area, but it just seems like, let's not forget the amount of revenue Steve Cottrell would have brought into Cheltenham by giving us a Football League club. People coming down the bars, the pubs, the shopping. You walked, like yesterday, you walked out for Cheltenham Town Centre, and it was absolutely packed with Newport fans in the pubs and all that. That's revenue week in, week out, which has been brought in for the football club as well into the town. So he's had a bigger impact, not just the football, but in the wider area. So if anybody is listening and you haven't done yet, there is a link on the Cheltenham Town website on X. The Robbins Trust have started this off, and let's get in for the freedom of the town and again to herd some sheep for the town. But yeah,
what do you even get with that award?
Kev, you get to be able to walk a herd of sheep through the town centre. Obviously, Robbie's not far away, so we need to be careful with that.
Yes, Robbie would be there herding the sheep with cots. It's more of a medieval thing, isn't it? Like the freedom of the city. Like I don't think you get the perks at what you used to, but basically, is it something you could trade in the town? You sell your sheep and walk them over a bridge. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's a title that some people like.
It's more a ceremonial thing now, opposed to a. It used to have a lot of, the influential people within the town got it back in the day, and it was it's not got the meaning that it previously had.
No. But yes, it's a nice accolade to have if you do get it. But anyway, on to the Cheltenham 2, Gillingham 1. Chris, fair to say this had a feeling very early on in the game anyway, and still in other parts of the game. It had a feeling with two teams that had nothing to play for today. It felt like a pre-season friendly at times.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you waiting for me to elaborate?
Yeah. That works, mate.
Look, it was one of them. In fairness, I thought, excuse me, I thought both games were quite similar in the fact that we should have been about 5 goals down by half time. And we managed to eke out a win in both. So, there you go.
Well, Ashford had a good chance in the first 3 minutes, and Morris saved. It was good to see. I know, obviously, it's been forced with Stevenson being injured, but it's been good to see him play over the last couple of games. And you're starting to see with a bit more.
He's a good player, mate.
He is, isn't he?
He's a good player. He's a good little player. I wouldn't say no to having him back next year.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I think he's going to be in.
No, neither do I.
I think he'd be around the Wrexham team, that's for sure. But like I said, Cheltenham started well for the first 15 minutes, Chris, and then but then Gillingham took the lead. The ball was pumped in. Ao gets a quick shot. Now, I want your opinion on this. Arcadieu Boyd's fault or Joe Day's?
Both.
Yeah.
Both were poor. He cuts in. Arkell lets him cut in. There's only one way he's going from that position, and that's to cut in. Arkell let him cut in and didn't. He didn't try hard enough to block the shot. It went, I think, between his legs, and Joe Day should not be beaten at his near post in that scenario. So yeah, they're both at fault.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had this sort of discussion with somebody who said it was purely blaming Arcadieu Boyd and said that maybe Day didn't realise he was going to shoot early, but as a goalkeeper, you should be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as you just said there, Gills were well on top when they, for 10 minutes after that, literally, Cheltenham could have been 2 or 3 goals further down. The first chance in that melee of chances were for Ronan Ale. He was put in behind, and kind of see Miller's goal yesterday. He gets in behind, but he just doesn't sort his feet out, does he? And Day sort of like smothers it.
Yeah, no, exactly that. He's never in control of the ball. It kind of looked like it clipped the back of his back foot, and Joe Day literally just smothered it, and it was comfortable in the end, but he should have scored.
Yeah, and then obviously we questioned whether Joe Day was at fault for the first goal, which I will add. Joe Day, he's had some critics this season, but he's been outstanding over the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
But he made up for if it was his fault, the first goal, he made up for it because that double save was world class.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The shot from Dak, the first one, they were both from Dak, but the first one, how he's got his hand down from there, I don't know. But it's a fantastic save initially, and then the ball ricochets back to Dak, and I personally, I think Dak's just hit it straight at his foot, because I don't know how he saves it if that isn't the case.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminded me of? I know it wasn't the same sort of save, but if you can go back into the Champions League years ago when Man United played Inter Milan and Zamorano with the header, and Schmeichel does that sort of like starfish, doesn't he? That's what Day does, and he puts his arm up and it just hits his arm and goes wide on the second save. But, 2 absolutely brilliant saves. But in the 24th minute, they could have gone 2-0 up. They had a goal disallowed. But Sam Vokes gets the flick on, and the ball goes in there. But it was offside, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was offside.
Yeah. I was just at first I looked at the linesman, and the linesman sort of delayed to put his flag up, but then it went up. I've not seen it back, so I don't. But at the time, it looked offside. But I've not seen it back to see it was offside.
It looked off. It was off. Conversation over.
Okay, we'll move on. Cheltenham then wrestle the momentum back. Bickerstaff gets away. This bit real disappointed me because it was a really good counter attack by Cheltenham. Bickerstaff gets away there in the left hand side, but just properly couldn't get it under control. If he took the touch, the ball was there put through to Davison, wasn't it? But he made an ash of it on the left hand side going towards the away end.
Yeah, it was one of them, but that's Bickerstaff. He's very hot and cold in games. Sometimes he controls it like he's Zinedine Zidane, and then other times he controls it like he's playing for Forest Green Rovers. But there you go.
I was going to ask you about Bickerstaff because he's shown stuff this season. He's grown as a player. Steve Cottrell's seen enough to make the loan a permanent and have him around next season. Do you think that this is his first proper season in senior football, where he's played pretty much, almost every game since Cots has come in. Can you see a tired player there? Because I think his performances over the last couple of games have really looked like he needs a rest.
Yeah, he does a lot of running as well. Let's not forget that he's a very, very busy player. So he does get through. He gets through the work. He like I just mentioned, he's quite hot and cold. Sometimes he frustrates the hell out of me, and sometimes I think, wow, what a player. But yeah, no, he's done really well this season from the very start. I thought there is a player in there. We just need to get it out. Over the course of the season, he has shown that he can be a good player. Consistency is what he needs. He needs to consistently do it rather than the flashes that he has shown.
Yeah, and just before halftime, Gilles did have another chance. I think it was the one where they play a long ball. Wilson went to edit, then stopped, let it bounce, and then again Ronan Ale gets in behind, and luckily Day came out and smothered, didn't he?
Yeah, that one it was quite funny actually looking back at it. Wilson thought, I'll stop, because if I don't, it'll bounce over me, and it bounced over him anyway. Yeah, it was one of those. And by the way, he struck that bloody hard.
Yes.
And it's a good solid hand that Day got to it. You'd expect him to save it every day of the week, but yeah, no, he struck that hard.
Yeah, he did. And then into the second half, 5 minutes into the second half, Gilles again, could have gone 2-0 up. And there's a lot of what we're saying here is could have. Again, it was a shot. Day saved. It goes across the goal, and Gillingham are about to tap it in, but Wilson,
what a touch, mate! Wow, yeah. That's incredible. Yeah, and that's what that's the quality that Wilson's got. He's not played at a much higher level for no reason. Yeah, he showed why in because that save, that was a goal saving touch. Yeah, no, what a bit of defending.
Yeah, he was about to tap it in. I was, I'm never really critical of Steve Cottrell, but I did question his subs against Crewe. I thought it changed the momentum of the game. I thought that's probably the reason we went and drew 1-1. But on Tuesday night, he made 3 subs, which changed the game. And it did change the game because Cheltenham, for the rest of the game, literally wrestled the momentum back for the game. He brings on Mo Fowl, brings on Ryan Broom, and brings on George Nurse. Fowl, obviously, I thought played really well. Flicks a ball on down the right. Young pulls it back, and Utch does what Utch does. 20th goal this season, and tucks it away. Before we talk about the Utch goal, Chris, the fitter Mo Fowl is getting, you're starting to see
what a player he's going to be next season.
Yeah, hopefully, if we
can have him next season. But yeah, what a player he's going to be next season. If what he's showing us in the last few games, in his brief little spells, he's going to be some player next season. And he's got great feet for such a big lad as well. Great feet.
Yeah, and that's nothing we know, by the way. That is only going by the little comment Cots gave at Colchester, that when he went, we get him up to speed, and next season you never know. Hopefully there is that chance. I did shout down to him yesterday. I went, Mo, next season, and he looks up and laughed. But you're right, Chris. The fitter he's getting, you're seeing why. He's probably in that stage in the moment. He needs consistent football at League One, but it's probably a bit too. He's probably too good for League Two. But he went to Port Vale in the summer on loan. Port Vale had an absolute stinking season, and they picked up, towards the back end of the season, but they've had a stinking season. So it's like I've said to a couple of fans when we signed him, I was like, ignore what Port Vale fans said, because every player for them is going to be crap because they've been crap. Where if he'd have been at a Luton, who have had a topsy-turvy season. Bet Luton fans would probably say, yeah, decent player, blah, blah, blah. So fingers crossed, mate. But yeah, he looks decent, doesn't he?
Yeah. 100%. I think he'll be some player next season if we can get him. And the more he's playing, that if is becoming further away.
Yeah,
because other teams will want him.
Yeah, and just talk about Hutch's goal. Obviously, that made it 1-1. But what Hutch does now, he reminds me so much like a Frank Lampard kind of player. He's box to box, but he arrives in the penalty area at the right time. It's just it's not luck, is it, that he arrives at the right time?
No, it's not. You can almost, and this is a controversial statement, you can almost press replay on 80% of his goals because they are exactly the same goals. Exactly the same goals. Little cut back and he'll just slot it home. They've obviously worked on that on the training ground. And Hutch is the right player to put in that position because he can finish. So yeah, no, look what Hutch has done. Hutch's goals have kept us in this league, and the work they've done on the training ground with Cottrell leading that is why we'll be a League Two team next year.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about is he going to be here because I think we know he's not going to be here.
He's not.
It goes the same with Isaac Hutchinson, in my opinion. I would love him at Cheltenham, and I do feel that the future's bright for Cheltenham. I do think that we're going to have a better season next year, and we're going to be around the mid-table, maybe a flirt with the playoffs. But my comment on Carl McAllister is no different to Isaac Hutchinson. If he was looking for the outside, I'd be disappointed to see him at Cheltenham Town next season. I wouldn't. I'd be over the moon. But as an outside person, you'd be disappointed to see him at Cheltenham Town when you're thinking you've just banged 20 goals in from midfield.
Well, I will say the only thing in Cheltenham's favour in that scenario is that Isaac Hutchinson is really happy at Cheltenham Town. He is happy at Cheltenham Town, and that is the only thing that really goes in our favour. Do I think Isaac Hutchinson should be at Cheltenham Town next year? Absolutely not. He should be in League One, probably in a top 8 team in League One. And because he is that good. But we have got the fact that we've effectively made him have a good season when if he stayed at Bristol Rovers, he'd be unhappy, he'd be miserable, and his career would be going down the pan. We've given him his career.
I was talking to someone at the game the other day, and they were saying how annoyed they were. And this guy's quite a level-headed guy, and he said he's quite annoyed with Bristol Rovers fans, the way that they're going, oh, every time he scores, it's an extra, 100,000, blah, blah, blah. Let me get one thing straight. The guy's in the last year of his contract. Bristol Rovers don't want him. They won't be able to take it back because, him and Evans fell out. That's why he come back. And 2, he doesn't want to be at Bristol Rovers. So no side's going to go in there and go, hey, Bristol Rovers, you're £600,000 for a player in the last year of the contract who you don't want. But there might be, I've heard a little rumour, whether it's true or not, but it's around, there's £100,000. That was what Bristol Rovers wanted for him. That's what they paid for him. That's what they wanted back. I won't elaborate too much on it. But I think that he would suit somebody if they go up. I think he would suit somebody like Notts County. I really do.
All right, Robbie, did you hear that? There's £100,000 in his contract.
he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to jump to non-league, mate. And you've got.
He's too old for Robbie anyway. Robbie likes 18, 19-year-olds that come from Macclesfield. You've got as much chance of signing
Isaac Hutchinson as Cheltenham have of signing Carl McAllister. 0 chance. He'll be in League One. Say again, mate.
How does £5,000 a week sound, Isaac?
I don't hate, and that's the good thing about Isaac. He's basically said that in his interview with John Palmer. The next move is not all going to be about the money. It's not all going to be about the biggest club. It's going to be the right move because he made the options he's had, and the decisions he's made in the past. he's basically said, I've made the decisions based on, oh, that's the good move, because it hasn't been the good move. He's gone to Cheltenham Town, which, we're not naive. We're a lot smaller than Bristol Rovers, but it's been a better fit for him than what Bristol Rovers has. So I think his next move is going to be the one, right? Where am I going to go? Who's going to play the same system, get the best out of me, like Cheltenham have? Because, Cheltenham have got the best out of him by the system they play, basically. But I would say, look, good luck to him. If that 0.00001% chance we get him next season, I will be absolutely delighted. But I think, we're dreaming, so we think Isaac Hutchinson's going to be in a Cheltenham shirt next season. Then let's go on to George Nurse. He's getting a bit of game time now, Chris. And the one thing you forget what he's got a hell of a long throw.
Yeah, he's got a decent throw on him. In fairness, it's a tactic that we've previously employed. It's and it works. It's proved that it's worked at all levels of football. So that can only be a benefit to him in trying to get a contract.
Yeah. And then do you think that you say about the contract? Do you think that he will be here next season?
Yeah, I do actually.
Because he's another player, isn't he? He's a League One player, but he had those 2 real bad knee injuries.
Yeah, he had ACLs, didn't he?
Yeah. And Kotz has mentioned, Chris, about that because of the knee injuries he's had, he spent a lot of time in the gym and basically he's beefed up.
Yeah, he's too big now.
Yeah, he kind of needs to sort of lose that muscle a bit.
Yeah, no. To answer your question, I do think that he'll get a contract for next season, and I do think to add to your comment, I do think he's too good for League Two when he's fit. He's got a great left foot on him as well, and I think a fully fit with pre-season into him, I think he'll be a really, really good player next season.
Yeah, and finally, without swearing, sum up Mofal's goal.
He's absolutely smashed it. And what technique, by the way? That's great technique.
Yeah, I was right behind it, and just wow, what a way to win a game! What a way to win a game! And again, I don't think there's any other player in the Cheltenham Towns 22 that would finish the ball like that. It comes over his shoulder onto the volley. He said I can't remember who said he was in his way, but he said I just literally shouted out the way, and he said I connected with it. And 9 times out of 10 that ball goes over the stand, over the trees, and into Parkland's car park. But if it goes into the bottom corner, brilliant.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's excellent hit, excellent strike, excellent way to win a football game.
Yeah. Because obviously we got to get on to the yesterday's game.
That's an idea.
Pick one thing out of the Cheltenham Town comments from Steve Cottrell. I think he gave away that Ben Stevenson's going to be here next season without saying Ben Stevenson's going to be here next season. Did you get?
Yeah, I did kind of get that opinion, but I was expecting Ben Stevenson to be here next season anyway. So yeah,
no, I did hear the club. Somebody said on at Wadden Road, I was on the terrace, that they think Cheltenham had an option anyway. But he turned around and said, when he was asked about will Ben Stevenson play again this season, he said, I don't know. He could do, but the problem is if we do risk it, he said that the players will have 2 weeks off at the end of the season, and then they will have a summer program before they return to pre-season. Because if we play him and aggravate his injury, that means that basically when he comes back for pre-season, he's going to be a few weeks behind everybody else. So that, without saying it, says that Ben Stevenson will be here for Cheltenham next season. And that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. I don't see the point in playing him anymore this season. We're not going down. We're not going up. So, just let him rest and recover. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Right. Let's go on to yesterday's game. And we'll start off with Pete Matthews' voice note.
So my
ultimately be called the Mo Foul Week. The big striker, who's been used sparingly by Steve Cottrell, had a hugely positive impact on both games played. So the game against Gillingham, not the greatest of games in all honesty. Cheltenham behind, but coming back strongly in the second half, playing down the hill. Isaac Hutchinson with yet another Isaac Hutchinson type goal. I feel most of the goals that he scored broadly are the same, coming into the penalty area and sweeping the ball in first time, this time after good work from Fowl and Luke Young. But what a goal the winner was. Ball in by George Nurse, headed away. Mo Fowl with one of the sweetest volleys you'll see into the top left-hand corner. Game against Newport, I thought Newport played well. I thought their press was good. I thought they pinned Cheltenham back. There weren't an awful lot of chances in the game, though. Both goalkeepers made a great save in the first half. Jordan Wright stopping Jordan Thomas almost on the goal line after good work from Davison. And then Joe Day with a really good save from the Newport forward Prome. Newport hit the bar twice, firstly with a looping header from Baker, secondly from Harrison Biggins. But what a good goal it was for Cheltenham to win it late on. Mo Fowl with a lovely ball into the penalty area. George Miller, who's had his critics in terms of his finishing, but there was nothing wrong with that one. A lovely little dinky chip over the goalkeeper. Deserved credit for keeping going. I'm not sure they were at their best. But one of the things that was really important was the strength of the bench. I think Cheltenham had a really good transfer window. The players who they brought in haven't necessarily always played, but it does mean that Steve Cottrell has an 18 to look at. Shame about the injury to Rob Cundy. He's been really good in recent weeks. And like Stevenson, I'm not sure we'll see him again this season. But 3 wins in a week, not the worst week. Brilliant. Thanks, Pete. Agree with everything you said there. What was your thoughts, Chris, on yesterday's game?
It wasn't quite a smash and grab, but I don't think we deserved 3 points. It was, I thought they should have been out of sight before we got our goal.
Yeah, it was, after the win against Gillingham in midweek, which I thought we looked leggy. It was all, it was all about trying to make it 3 wins in a week, which was, positive. But we did look leggy, I thought. Did you?
Yeah, I thought, look, we were trying. Don't get me wrong, we were trying hard, but we couldn't lay a glove on them. I don't think, personally.
No, agree. Cheltenham's first chance came in the first half, after 13 minutes. It was a ball again from Davison. What Davison does while he chases a lost cause down into the corner, he gets the ball across. Some will say Jordan Thomas should do better, but others will say what a save from their goalkeeper.
No, I'm firmly in the what a save camp. Thomas does everything he probably could do in that, and the keepers, I think the keeper's just done you alluded to it before, a Schmeichel. He's just dived and hoped it hit him, and that's what it did. Really unfortunate, because I think Jordan Thomas deserves another goal, because he's we had a really long conversation about awards, and I think we'll probably touch on it here, because it was mentioned about Young Player of the Year. I think Jordan Thomas deserves it personally, rather than any of the two that we'll probably mention later.
Yeah, obviously our awards are on the last game of the season, so
yeah. As it should be, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. Newport were having half chances, but wasn't really worrying us at the time. But again, Cheltenham had this next best chance. Ryan Broom, at the ball comes in, Ashfield heads it, and Ryan Broom literally flicks it, and he's got an open goal and puts it wide. But I wasn't being harsh, because this is my opinion, but do you think that maybe it was just Ryan Broom didn't know his bearings, kind of thing?
When I first saw it, I thought Ashfield's header was on target and Ryan Broom made it go wide. That wasn't the case, because Ashfield's header wasn't on target. Broom just didn't have time to react. It's one of those. It was slightly behind him. He was trying to twist his neck, it's one of those. He was just slightly a yard too far forward. If he were a yard backwards, he heads that in every day of the week, I think.
Yeah, and as Pete said, Newport had a couple of chances, didn't they? They hit the upright in the first half. Again, like Day made another brilliant save. Do you think on Newport's side, do you think that they were probably lacking if they had someone who could finish, they probably would have won yesterday, I would have thought.
Comfortably, yeah. I thought they deserved to win the game personally, but they didn't put the ball in the back of the net, which is what you need to do to win a football game.
Yeah. And then obviously disappointing for Cheltenham, as Pete just alluded on, that Cundy had to go off injured. He took his boot off, so he looked like something.
Looked like a broken foot to me.
Yeah, maybe like the metatarsal, that famous word, metatarsal. So it looks like he'll be over the rest of the season, which would be a big miss because Cots, this is what, in my opinion, makes a good manager. He sees things in the game. Like that was only like 10 minutes before half time, but also Christian Fuchs done the same. He's seen that Cundy went off and was directing Newport to just get the ball into the box, and he was causing havoc, wasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. And look, Cundy has been excellent in my opinion this season, which didn't surprise me, but the words that Dave was using earlier on in the season, sometimes I was struggling to see. But he really has had an excellent second half of the season, and fair play to Robbie Cundy, and he will be a miss for the final 2 games.
He will. And then, like I said about Cott seeing things, he took Davison off at half time, which, to be fair, was harsh because Davison had a decent first half. But as like Cott said, I could see that they were starting to put balls into the box, and as well as Davison was doing, Mo offers that aerial threat.
I mean, Davison isn't bad in the air. Let's get that straight. But yeah, Fowle's probably a bit better. Which that's something I agree with what Cott said.
Yeah, and Fowl come on. He done well. He was winning his flick-ons, and obviously now building his game time out. That's 45 minutes he's now had, which I would imagine is going to be a shootout between him and obviously Miller starting Tuesday because Davison can't play because it's against his own club. But can you see that Fowl being over the last 3 games? Can you see him? You can just see him doing what he did against Gillingham, can you? Maybe popping up with another winner because he just seems that he's alert and he's got that bit of quality.
Yeah, I don't think he'll start against Tranmere. I think Miller will, but I think he'll probably start the last game of the season.
Yeah, and I said about Cheltenham looking leggy, and again, Cott's made a few changes, but one player I think could do with a rest. I know I said about Bickerstaff. I thought, and he'll get it on Saturday, but Hutchinson, he looked like he was running on a bit of empty as well, didn't he?
Yeah, the last couple of games he's looked a little bit not off it, but leggy maybe. He's been quiet in the last kind of 3 or 4 games. He hasn't been so much at the forefront, with the exception of the game last week, the Walsall game. He was well on it then, he probably could do the rest. And he'll get it at Bristol anyway.
Yeah. And on the hour, again, Cheltenham were let off a free header for Newport. They hit the bar. But in the 83rd minute, Cheltenham take the lead. Brilliantly laid off ball by Mo Fowl. And as Pete said, George Miller's had some stick for some of his finishing. And I've been the same, because he's usually someone who would tap it in on the 6-yard box, which you've said a lot, Chris. He's that sort of player. The goal at Walsall and that goal yesterday were if you didn't know George Miller and you was watching him for the first couple of times, you'd be thinking, what an unbelievable finisher.
Yeah. It's instinct, isn't it? If he hasn't got time to think about something, he's really good at finishing. When he's got time to think about it, that's when it kind of goes a bit Pete Tong for him.
Yeah, what I liked about yesterday's finish was, the ball was put through by Mo Fowl. He used his body strength, and he was just like he actually gave his I'll give me words in a minute. Gave himself a chance to think about it, but not overthink it. And the key,
he only had one option.
Yeah.
He only had one option. So and that was the option that he took, and thankfully it came off.
It was brilliant finish.
Brilliant finish. But I really want to emphasise Mo Fowl in that move, because he was excellent for me with that move.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously the last chance of the game come to Isaac Hutchinson, and he proved that he's human.
Yes, indeed.
As he dragged it wide. And Chris, only two defeats in 14. That's 3 wins in a row, 2 clean sheets in 3. It's been a brilliant effort. Sean said, Sean did say in our group when we was having a bit of banter the other week, he was going, come on, Cott's coming in September. His first game was obviously in October. But people who watch Cheltenham, like I've said, don't underestimate how down and out we were in September. We'd lost 5-0 to MK Don, 7-1 to Greensby, although we were down to 9 men in that game at 2-1. And then the week after that, when what cost Flynn his job, we lost 3-0 at home to Oldham. We were dire, weren't we?
Yeah, we didn't look like scoring, and we looked like conceding a lot every game. So yeah, the work Cots has done has been brilliant, and we're going to be an EFL team next season, which is something that not every club, especially on this podcast, can.
Yeah, especially at Dead Rubber games, eh, Dave? Cosford's pleased with the win. Want to finish the season strong. Crowd were brilliant, and the atmosphere was really good yesterday from both sets of fans.
That was helped by Newport, and fair play to Newport for bringing so many. I know it's only down the road over the bridge, but yeah, what an atmosphere it sounded.
Yeah, it was really good. Right, thanks, Chris. That's Cheltenham Town. Let's go over to yourself again, Chris. We're doing it a bit later today.
Hopefully he's written it below.
Around the grounds. So over to you, Chris.
We are going to talk of the counties around the grounds by Chris Howes.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Let's go around the grounds. Brought to you by BAM Recruitment. They find better matches than most managers in a January transfer window. Whether that's temporary or permanent, they put the right people in the right positions. Engineering, construction, and operational. No VAR needed. Check them out below. First up, the ladies. Cheltenham Town, no game last weekend. They face Billericay in the last game of the season next Sunday, in a must-win game as they find themselves in the relegation zone on goal difference. Forest Green home to Torquay last week, where they lost 4-1 with Yashi McNamara with the consolation. They also played on Thursday away at Pucklechurch, where goals from Estelle Randall, Isabel Williams and 2 from Brian Robbins saw them win 4-2. While Gloucester were away at Bishop's Lydiard last Sunday, where they won 7-1. Which saw Kaneko Grun and Luca Bella Davis grab braces, and Georgia Van Drees got herself a hat-trick. Later today, Gloucester are away at Saltash and Forest Green are at home to Frampton. Both teams mid-table, can't go up and can't go down. Moving to the Southern League Division 1 South, on Monday, Bishop's Cleeve were away at Swindon Supermarine, where they fell to a 3-0 defeat. On Monday, Hartbury were at home to Mousehole and lost 1-0. Yesterday, Hartbury were away at Tavistock and won 2-1, and Cleeve were away at Falmouth and lost 3-0. Those 2 3-0 defeats are seeing Cleeve fall out of the playoff places and will need some help to get back in. They're away at Bidford next Saturday, while Hartbury are at home to Bashley. Hellenic Premier Division has drawn to a close for most teams, with a few midweek games. Long Levens lost at home to Thornbury 2-1, and Cinderford won 2-0 at home to Highworth. On Thursday, Long Levens won 4-2 at home to Corsham, and yesterday Cirencester won 3-0 away at Westfields. Lydney lost 4-2 at home to Roman Gloss and George. Hereford beat Royal Wootton Bassett 2-0 at home. Cinderford beat Tuffley 6-0. And a county derby between champions Slimbridge and Long Levens, which saw Alex Knight put Long Levens in front. But penalties from Ollie Sully and Joe Stokes turned it around for Slimbridge, who ran out 2-1 winners. Cirencester have extended their season by confirming a playoff place, where they play Droitwich in the semi-final. And that's it from around the grounds. Back over to you, Dan.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, congratulations to Cirencester. It could be they won't, because they're in the Atlantic Premier, aren't they? I forgot they took the job. They could be in with Gloucester City next season, so they've still got the Southern League to go. But it's good to see him on their way back. So they voluntarily dropped out, didn't they, of the Southern League because obviously the running cost and what have you.
Yeah, finances.
Yeah. Dave, have you got the scores there for scores on the doors?
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to go?
Okay.
Let's go. Right. So let's go over to scores on the doors. Sean's done a disappearing act. I think he's on the phone to Robbie. So let's go on over to Dave. Dave's going to do scores on the doors.
I'll have a go.
How do we do, Dave?
I'll have a go. Cheltenham v Gillingham. That finished. What was the score in that?
2-1 to Cheltenham.
2-1 Cheltenham.
2-1 to Cheltenham. So I got 3 points, and Sean got 1 point. So can somebody jot this down? So that's 3 to me, 1 to Sean.
Yeah.
Cheltenham v Newport was 1-0, wasn't it? To Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Everyone got a
So
point.
every got a point. So I've
Yeah.
got 4. Sean's got 2, and you boys have got 1. Hartlepool, Forest Green.
Chris got 3.
Chris got 3, and he was the only one to get a point. And Yate, Gloucester, Dan got 3, and he was the only one to get a point. So I think that means that, and I need it written down really.
Dave, you're on 76.
I'm on 76. I got 4.
Sean's on 72.
Sean's on 72.
Dan's on 70.
Yeah.
I got
And I'm on
No, he got
69.
more than that,
I
didn't
got 72.
he? Yeah.
Sorry, boy.
Dan got 72.
And I'm on 70.
Yeah.
69 or 70.
Yeah. So I'm still winning anyway.
Well, let's go for the score predictions, and Sean will have to drop us in the group after. In midweek, are at home to Tranmere. Head-to-head, there's been 17. Cheltenham have won 9. There's been 6 draws, 6 wins for Tranmere, and there's been. I've got 22 draws here. I don't think that's right. So that's 15. There's been 2 draws. Yeah, I've double tapped. There's been 2 draws.
Now we've done it. He's back.
Oh, here we go. He's finally back.
Last time out with a 3-2 win for Tranmere in August. Chris, your scores and predictions.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think Tranmere are in awful form, but we've got nothing to play for, and they have. So I think it'll be a really tight game. But I can see us winning by 2-1.
Dave?
I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
Sean?
I've gone 2-0 Cheltenham.
I'm going to go 2-1 Cheltenham. And then on to the weekend. Cheltenham travel to Bristol Rovers. Head-to-head, there's been 29 games. It's been 9 wins for Cheltenham, 13 wins for Bristol Rovers, and 7 draws. Last time out was a 1-0 win for Cheltenham in November. Bristol Rovers are in really good form. They've won 7 on the trot. Even though we won 3 on the trot, they've obviously got a free week. We'll have potentially no Ben Stevenson, no Isaac Hutchinson, no Cundy. So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty tough. I'm going to start off. I'm going to go for a 2-0 defeat for Cheltenham. Chris?
I actually, I'm in the same boat as you, mate, on this one. I don't see us winning that one, much as it pains me to say, because I really want us to beat Bristol Rovers. I just don't think we will. I think it'll be probably 2-1 again, but this time to Bristol Rovers.
Yeah. And then Dave?
I reckon you're going to snatch a point, 1-1.
I'll take that. Sean?
Yeah, I've gone 2-1 as well because they're in cracking form, aren't they? So
Yeah. Right, let's go on to Forest Green. They finished their season at home to Morecambe. Head-to-head, there's been 18. Forest Green 6, Morecambe 8, and draws 4. Last time out was a 3-1 win for Forest Green. Morecambe are obviously down. Rob is going to play Ariosted up front just to try and work out his formation for the playoffs. Sean, your predictions?
I've gone 3-1 Forest Green. I think we'll finish with a win. But as much as I say, I think we'll hopefully see a strongish team.
Yeah. Chris?
Hate this because I've gone 4-1 Forest Green.
Dave?
1-1.
I'm going to go, they've been saying it all season, I'm going to go 5-1 Forest Green. Yeah, 5-1 Forest Green. And then on to Gloucester, and another dead rubber. Head-to-head, they play Wharton and Ayrsham, the champions, who haven't won since they've been crowned champions. They've lost 3 and drew 1. Head-to-head, 4. Gloucester won none. Wharton have won 2. There's been 2 draws. Last time out was a 2-0 win for Wharton in January.
Technically, we won on penalties.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. But 90 minutes and all that, dude.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Your predictions?
It's a weird game. I think they're on the beach. They've won the titles, all done and dusted. I think we'll rest an awful lot of players. Who's out for the rest of the season.
1-1.
1-1.
Yeah,
1-1. Just going to go 1-1.
Chris?
2-1 Walton.
Sean?
Well, I wrote my predictions, Zane, before we started the pod, and then Dave started going on about resting players and all that malarkey. So I went 2-0 Gloucester, but it's probably end up going to be a draw in it. So, but I'm going to stick with 2-0 because I wrote it down before.
I'm going to go with 2-1 Gloucester. Brilliant. I think that's a good place to leave it. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks, Dave.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Sean. It's your last regular of the season. There will be a pod for the playoffs. But Sean's not here next week. We'll be joined by Martin. Follow us on all our socials: X, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, where Cheltenham make it 3 in a row. No heart at Poole for Rovers, and City lose 8 and give up on second. See you next time.